A very good morning to all of you, and once again, welcome to this career exploration series of CISCE Inspire. We've had three sessions, very insightful sessions with Mr. Abhishek Gupta, and yet again, we meet today to talk about the possibilities to studying abroad, the passport to possibilities studying abroad made simple. In this session, we are going to explore the opportunities that present themselves in the field of higher education admissions outside. And Mr. Abhishek Gupta is here to explain the key components of the admission process, including academic requirements, standardized tests, and creating a scholarship worthy profile through extracurriculars, essays, and recommendations. We will also outline some important planning milestones and timelines for grades 9 to 12 students to ensure readiness for the applications and scholarships. We welcome our panelist, Mr. Abhishek Gupta. He, as you know, is a distinguished alumnus of the University of California, Los Angeles, and one of Asia's leading career counselors. He has a remarkable track record of counseling over 1 lakh students, and the number is growing every day. He is also the founder and CEO of High School Moms, the world's largest parent-student community and Guide AI, an innovative career and college counseling organization. His students have he has been instrumental in shaping the future of thousands of students, and his students have consistently secured admissions and scholarships at the top universities like Harvard, Stanford, Cornell, NYU, NUS, Oxford, Cambridge, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and many more. He, of course, is a prolific, eloquent speaker and a thought leader and has been honored with the Times Education Icon Award in 2019. He continues to be a strong and influential voice in the field of college and career counseling. We welcome you once again, Abhishek, to the forum. Thank you so much. On behalf of our Chief Executive and Secretary, Dr. Joseph Emmanuel, we extend our gratitude for the time and expertise you have shared with us through these sessions. The platform is all ours now. I believe we can begin the discussions for the day.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful talking to your students and parents through their YouTube for last 4 weeks, and I hope that we can do justice together even today.
Yes. So I think let's begin with the first, the basics of it. Can you give us an overview of the best universities and colleges that are suited for core disciplines abroad, like engineering, medical science, mathematics, humanities, social sciences, or technical courses?
Absolutely. Now, how do you define best universities is very important. I understand ranking is a significant factor, but when I counsel students, I also look at student experience. I look at internships. I look at research programs. I look at student experience outside the classroom when it comes to sports or extracurriculars. So there are a lot of parameters which I look at before guiding a student. However, to make it simple for the audience today, I would say for engineering, and I'll highlight some universities across countries so that they can actually go about researching them, and possibly similar universities. So for engineering, definitely some of the biggest tech-based institutions, MIT, Georgia Tech, Caltech, these are the ones in US. And apart from that, you can definitely look at Stanford and UC Berkeley in the Bay Area on the West Coast. In UK, for sciences and engineering, I would definitely suggest Imperial. Oh, I mean, and I will suggest Imperial over and above Oxbridge in UK for engineering. Germany, then there is TU Munich, there is RWTH, and in Singapore, there are two institutions which you can never lose a sight on. One is NUS Singapore and one is NTU. So that's for engineering. In terms of medical sciences, let me put it this way. And I'm going to give a disclaimer. I am not a counselor who guides students to third world countries at all. None of my students till date have ever gone to Ukraine or Bangladesh or other countries. I do not like sending my students to a second tier educational college just for the heck of it. So I'm going to only talk about the renowned ones where the legacy maintains. For medical, one can look at Oxbridge, Oxford, Cambridge. You can look at UCL in UK. You can look at Ireland, especially Trinity College Dublin. Australia, you can definitely look at for medical sciences, University of Sydney, University of Melbourne. And in US, though there are very limited pathways, because US, you cannot study MBBS. You have to straight away go for an MD program, and which you can do at any time after completing your 4 years of bachelor's in biology, which is called pre-med. So US is a very different pathway. What is important to understand in terms of medical sciences abroad is that if you're applying to UK, Ireland, and Australia and New Zealand, you need to give an exam called UCAT, which is very, very important information that people should be aware of. In terms of mathematics, there are very specific institutions, and I'll give you a very specific insight. Everybody thinks that MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, is a tech school. What they do not realize is it's actually a math school. And how you can make out is every year MIT releases its offer letters on something called a Pi Day. And Pi Day is the value of pi is 3.14 and Pi
Yes.
Day is 14th of March. Uh,
Yes.
MIT always releases its offer letters only and only on 14th of March.
Mm.
So one should look at MIT to study mathematics. Then there is in Ivy Leagues, I would look at Princeton and Harvard more than others. I would definitely look at Caltech. UK, similar names, Cambridge, but I'll definitely add Warwick for mathematics. And in Canada, there is one institution which is really renowned in the world for mathematics and computer sciences. It's called University of Waterloo. Rather, at this juncture, I'll give your students an advice. Please go to a website called CEMC by Waterloo, Center for Excellence of Mathematics and Computing. They conduct a lot of online competitions in mathematics for students from grade 8 to 12. And you can actually sit at home and do it. And sitting in these exams will open your doors to the best of the universities in the world. Humanities, I will always say US is going to be number one when it comes to humanities, simply because the concept of liberal education to combine humanities subject with commerce or sciences is very deeply rooted in US culture. So again, some of the top tier schools would be UC Berkeley, UCLA, even the Ivies. But in Ivies, I would possibly look at Brown and Harvard when it comes to humanities more, and maybe Yale. UK, when you're looking at humanities, possibly Imperial will not be an answer for you because it's pro sciences. You should look at London School of Economics, King's College London, University College London. And in Canada, you can look at UBC and McGill. One area where I definitely want to add, sorry for being so long, but it's about design schools. Nobody understands design schools so well. So let me just talk a little bit about it. Even this year, one of my students, Aditya Mandlekar, I was just responding to his message on LinkedIn. He got a $600,000 from all the top-notch design schools in the world, including number one, which is Parsons, and number two, which is Pratt. Now, design schools, when you're looking at, you should look at Parsons, Pratt, Wharton, and UMass Amherst in US. You should look at Royal College of Arts. You can look at UCL and London School of Art and Design. In Netherlands, you can look at Leiden. So these are some of the design schools that one should consider. So pretty much I've covered the entire globe. Let's not get into Japan and Korea, otherwise I can go on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And what are the cycles that the students should be aware of? And when should they start prepping and applying for it?
Oh, that's a very, very important question, Dr. Bhavna. I think if you're truly going for a top tier university, irrespective of the country, and if you truly want to make best of the scholarships that they have to offer for the students, I think journey starts as early as grade 9. And I'm sorry to say that, but the fact remains is that building a strong narrative and building a strong profile is not a magic wand. You can't just expect to participate in certain activities and a profile will emerge. Um,
Mhm.
it's a whole story and we will possibly talk about it.
Mm.
But for those students who are in grade 12 this year, some of the timelines that you have to really look at. Common App opens today. So it's a great day that we are actually doing this session because
Okay.
August 1st is the opening date of Common App for US. Early decision round will be in the month of November. Please remember if you can apply into an ED, ED is a binding decision, so you can only apply to one university in ED. If you get it, you have to take it because it's a legal contract between you and the university until unless you are actually going for another country. Um, However, the chances of the top tier universities do go up if you apply in ED because you're actually showing your intent to that university that this is my dream university, and given an opportunity, if you give me admission, I am coming, right? So ED happens in the month of November, which is the early decision. Regular decision rounds go all the way to January. So that's US. UK, UCAS will open in the month of September with the one deadline which will be there in the month of October, mid of October, around 15th October, which is Oxford and Cambridge, right? You cannot apply to both. You can only apply to one out of the two, either Oxford or Cambridge. But that deadline will be in the month of October, middle, which is 15th October. Rest all universities in UK, you can apply all the way to January 25th, which is there. Canada, while there are multiple provinces and they can have different timelines, essentially OUAC, which is for Ontario, and EPBC, which is for British Columbia, where the best of the two or three universities are there, whether University of Toronto, which is in Ontario, or Waterloo, which is in Ontario, or UBC, which is in British Columbia. The deadlines will be anywhere between October to January. So you need to be prepped up by October. Singapore, we do have certain leniency if you're looking at NUS or NTU, because their deadlines actually go all the way to February. And that's why it is also important to understand the admissions decision of Singapore universities will also come in late. While majority of the universities from US will give you admissions decision latest by February and March, early March, Singapore will give you decisions by June, maybe even July at times. So yes, so these are the timelines that the students and parents should consider. However, I think if you're really intentional about sending your child to a top tier university, start the journey early.
Right. Thank you. That's a lot of information, and I'm so glad that you sharing that with us. When a student is choosing a course abroad, so apart from the availability of the scholarships and the rigor of the course, should the students also be looking at work options post the study period there in that country?
The answer is a yes with a capital Y, capital E, and capital S. I'm very clear. If you're paying in dollars or pounds, you better recover in dollars and pounds. You
Okay.
stay there and you work for some time. Definitely come back home because India is the future. So come back home after 3, 4 years after gaining international exposure and come back and contribute. I always say the only way you can be true to your own country when you go abroad is earn a lot of money ethically, but bring that money back to India. That's the way you become ethical and become patriot. Having said that, yes, post study work permit or opportunities are very critical when you are looking at study abroad. Remember that UK will offer up to 2 years of post study work permit. Canada will offer up to 3 years. US, if you are a STEM graduate, you will get up to 3 years. Otherwise, you will get 2 years. Now, but what you need to understand is this should not dishearten a humanities or a commerce student, because a lot of programs in US universities could be a humanities or a commerce program, but will be STEM designated courses. So, for
Okay.
example, instead of doing looking at a bachelor's in business management, if you can look for a BSc in business management, you get a 3 year work permit, not two, right?
Okay.
Post study work permit. So those things are little critical, and that's why it's important for parents to understand that speaking to the right counselor who can make you understand the differences between a STEM program, STEM designated program, and a non-STEM program is very important. At this juncture, Dr. Bhavna, I will also like to tell and take the liberty of saying there are enough and very many organizations, including their own community, high school moms. We are a parents and student community. You do not need to go to agents anymore. Please stop going to agents. And I'm not naming anybody, but imagine an institution which is struggling to get students, and that's why need to work with agents per se. Um, and imagine agents recommending you an institution even before the application is filed. Uh,
Okay.
it's not the right way to do it. So please do your research well.
Hmm.
Avoid agents, but yes,
Hmm.
uh, these post-study work permits are important, and in certain cases like Canada and Australia, these can also become an entry gate to a PR.
Okay. All right. So are there, differences in what the US versus the UK universities and the Canadian universities look for in students?
Uh, Essentially, it's the answer is a yes or a no. A
Hmm.
US is a very holistic admissions process, but increasingly around the world, it's becoming very holistic. So the focus only on marks is reducing, while marks are very, very important. And I must tell all the students and parents who are going to watch this, please focus on your school academics. You build the base for your college because of your school academics. So score well, learn well, understand well. However, do not become a bookworm. You need to look at things outside the school curriculum. You need to build your profile, and I will tell you what the top tier universities look at. Your academic grades are important as early as grade 9. So don't think grade 9, oh, we can take it lightly, or grade 10, we can take it lightly. No. Look at any college application form, whether it is Common App or others, they start capturing information of academics from grade 9 onwards.
Yeah.
Number two, don't be in a thought process that, hey, SATs are not important, ACTs are not important. They are significantly important because they are the only objective score over and above your academics that you are being able to quote to a university. Yes, there was a time during the pandemic where some of the universities became test optional or test blind, but now majority of the universities have again come back and said we will take the SATs, including Ivy Leagues, right? I will even go to the extent of saying, while UK universities do not need you to write an SAT, however, if you open the UCAS, in the form itself, there is a space to mention your SAT score. And you do not apply to the best of the universities by leaving a column blank.
Hmm.
So take your SATs. In terms of your extracurriculars, that's the third thing that they will look at. It is very important for parents and students to differentiate between an extracurricular and a profile.
Hmm.
Extracurricular could be random activities. I could do some MUNs, some debates, some sports, some extracurricular, some music, and some competitions. But profile is a story. And I'm going to talk more about it when Dr. Bhavna prompts me to.
Hmm.
Apart from that, what you would need is draft some phenomenal essays. These essays are about you, not your academics. These essays, and let me put it this way, everybody, universities are deeply interested in knowing your personality. You think they are not, but they are. They want to know you, not you as a student, but you as a person. So, essays are your best possible place where you can talk about your vision, your fears, your dreams, your aspirations, the work you have done, what means to you right here, right? If there is something that your heart beats for, essay is the place. So, make use of that space really well.
Hmm.
Schools, CISC schools will give you letters of recommendation. You will need two of them bare minimum. And some universities will then take your interview to see whatever you have written, can you even justify that? So
Hmm.
these are the broad things that universities will look at, and mostly US looks at holistic profile, so their focus on profile and academics is same. UK from this year have changed their college applications. Earlier, they used to ask for only one personal statement, which was about what do you want to study and why do you want to study.
Hmm.
Now they have also changed that to three specific questions. So basically, UK is also moving from, let's say, pure academics to academics and profile. And Canada, I would say, is pretty much balanced. Both Singapore and Canada, pretty much balanced. Their focus on academics and profile is same. So net, academics are important, but profile is equally important too.
Yeah. Abhishek, can you please demystify Ivy League for us? What is Ivy League? What is this all about?
Okay, I can do that. Essentially, Ivy League is a football league. Okay, so when uh, I mean, almost years back, there were a set of eight universities which started um, playing American football together. Okay, and this football league was called Ivy League. It so happened that these eight actually are the most selective universities in the world. Okay, So it includes UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, Columbia, Harvard, Dartmouth, Yale, Cornell, Brown, and Princeton. Okay. So these are 8 universities which are labeled as Ivy Leagues. Okay. Over a period of time, for counselors like us, call us our mistake, call us the requirement of the ecosystem, we started using the terminology Ivy Leagues as a generic word to label all great universities. So we came up with newer terminologies like public Ivies. For example, UC Berkeley and UCLA are as selective as an Ivy League. So we started calling them public Ivies. Fact of the matter is, Ivy Leagues are only 8 by definition, but there are some amazing universities other than Ivy League which are as selective, and we call them as M7 or public Ivies. There are multiple terminologies that one can go for. These are the best of the best universities where if you go, I bet I can actually tell you, if you graduate from one of these universities, one thing that you definitely make is your network, and your network is your net worth. 10 years down the line, every single mobile number in your child's mobile will be of a CTO, CXO, CFO, and a CEO, right? So that's the
Yes.
network that you build.
Can you explain about the SAT and the ACT, the components, and how to go about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So both of the exams are equally acceptable. Both exams are standardized tests. By definition, standardized testing means that irrespective of the ability of the child, if the child takes these kind of exams, they standardize the scores, and it reflects about the child's ability to the university. Now, majority of the component of these exams is divided into 2 sections predominantly, or 2 areas of study. One is English, which we call as verbal ability, and the other is mathematics, which we call as quantitative ability. So if we talk about SAT, it's a test out of 1600, 800 for mathematics and 800 for English. And a good score on SAT is considered to be anything above 1400. A 1400 plus score means that you have significantly boosted your college application. You have demonstrated an ability to go ahead and write a standardized exam, and you have demonstrated your willingness to apply to the best of the universities in the world. ACT, on the other hand, is another exam which is as acceptable as SAT. However, the scoring is out of 36. Till now, in ACT, there used to be 3 kinds of sections: English, maths, and science reasoning or scientific reasoning. But the newer format of ACT now coming up will be shorter. They are trying to make it similar to SAT. Will be shorter, and will be the scientific reasoning section will be optional. So those who do not want to take it can leave it and do not take it. Again, the same benefits. SAT happens 8 times a year. ACT happens lesser number of times. And that's why I always say, if one has to start prepping and has not started prepping, as a counselor, I always prefer SATs over ACTs, just by the sheer number of attempts available. Another important factor to consider here is, if you give, and you're allowed to give multiple attempts on both, the score is valid for 5 years. So I'll give you my personal example. Apart from my students, my own son took the SAT in grade 10, and his score is valid to apply even after grade 12, right? So he does not need to write another entrance, another SAT. Also, interestingly, SAT is accepted in 50 plus universities in India. So with the same score, while I'm applying abroad, I'll be able to apply to Flame and avoid Flame's entrance. I'll be able to apply to Symbiosis School of Liberal Arts or Symbiosis Skill and Professional University and avoid their entrances. And there are 50 such universities where you can avoid entrances. Best score will be counted even if you take 2 attempts. And there is another concept which is called super score. Won't take much time, but super score is where, let's say you've taken 2 attempts and you have about 1350 on both of them, or more than 1350. Now you can take maths from one attempt, verbal from another attempt, and quote it to a university, the best of the two, and that's called super scoring. So I think very positive game. They only look at the best of the scores. They look at the super scores, and they strengthen your application like anything. I don't think you can apply or get into a top tier university in the world without quoting SAT or ACT.
Okay, so is there a pre-qual, like these many years of education the student should have had, school education, before sitting for the applying for the SAT or the ACT?
Not really. But I
Okay.
would say that a great time to start prepping for SAT is the moment your child enters grade 10. Um, because by that time, your child is pretty sorted with the concepts which will be tested on SAT and is mentally ready to take on
Hmm.
the other concepts of SAT, which honestly, there are several organizations which teach,
Hmm.
including ours at
Hmm.
Guide AI. We
Hmm.
prepare for SATs and
Hmm.
ACTs. So, I think end of grade 9 is the best time to start prepping for SAT, and 10th is the best time to take your first SAT attempt, and you take a backup attempt in grade 11.
Okay, and suppose, for example, we have 12th class students who are now in 12th standard. What would your advice be to them?
Honestly, they have one last shot at SAT this year, which will be in the month of November and December. Uh,
Okay.
it takes about 2.5 to 3 months to be SAT ready. Uh,
Hmm.
you need to see the problem, Dr. Bhavana, with problem with SAT is not that it's difficult. The
Hmm.
problem with SAT is that it's tricky,
Okay.
right? I generally say, I do not know whether it's true or not, but when I look at questions, I feel they're not made by a maths teacher or English teacher, they're actually made by psychologists. So there are
Okay.
trips and traps. That's what my sense is when I look at an SAT
Hmm. Hmm.
as an experienced counselor. So SAT is not a test of concepts. It's a
Hmm.
test sometimes even of strategies,
Okay.
right? So I'll give you one example. I am driving the car. The car is being driven by me. Both
Hmm.
are grammatically correct. One is active voice, one is passive voice. But
Yes.
one is better SAT correct than the other one because
Hmm.
SAT prefers active voice. So there are certain strategies which work, and one can be ready for SAT in 2.5 3 months time. At least at our case, we are able to make them ready in about 2 to 3 months time.
All right. All right. That's good to know that they still have a chance and they can always try for it. Uh, what are these advanced placement exams? And do they help Indian students in the global applications?
Oh yes. I'll tell you honestly. My son has taken 8 advanced placements even after being an IBDP kid. Okay.
Oh,
Um, and he has scored. He's an AP scholar. He scored 5 on 5 of them out of 8. AP exams. So by name it says advanced placement, which means I'm trying to tell to a university that I'm already capable of handling what you're going to teach me in year one.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
So these are basically college level courses you are able to write in India, conducted by the same body which conducts SAT. So it's called
Okay.
College Board. And APs happen in 40 different subjects. Okay. Now one needs to choose the right subjects dependent on what they are intending to study in the college as a major. Okay. Simply because then you will get one thing which is called tuition credits. So, for example, let's say I am going to study a particular course in college which has economics as a component.
Okay.
So, there are two AP exams. One is called AP Microeconomics and AP Macroeconomics.
Right.
If I score a 5 on 5 or 4 on 5 in these two, I am actually given a waiver to study these two subjects in the first year of college.
Okay.
Okay.
All. Hmm.
Which means I'm saving time.
Hmm.
During this time, I can take another course or I can use that time for an internship or a research project and become more employable. Number
Right.
two, you're saving money because abroad you're paying by credits. And if you get
Hmm.
a credit waiver, you're
Hmm.
not paying for that subject
Hmm.
and you're not studying that subject.
Hmm.
So essentially, I say a good student applying to a top tier university should ideally take minimum of 4 AP courses. And like I said, AP courses can be prepared in India. Exams happen in India. Just that SAT happens 8 times a year. APs only happen once a year in the month of May every year.
Okay.
That's a
So
very
that's
important
a
data
very
point.
important. Yes. Yes. So basically, the students should sit for the SAT and then they should, in preparation towards the year of going abroad, they should be sitting for the APs also.
Absolutely. They can sit at the end of grade 11. They
Hmm.
can sit for few APs at the end of grade 10. Grade 12, at the end of grade 12, it will be late. because by that time the college admissions has already happened. Uh,
Hmm.
Another few benefits of APs are AP significantly boosts your academic profile and puts you into that top tier bracket, the ones who will get scholarships. It's a very important factor. I'll tell you honestly, my experience with my students say 75% of my students who have taken APs do end up getting scholarships. So it's a very significant data point that I'm trying to share. And like I said, there are 40 different subjects. Physics में चार हैं, biology में एक है, chemistry में एक है. There are subjects in humanities from US history to world history to psychology. There are subjects in commerce like economics. And then there is mathematics, mein only calculus is what they test on. So a good counselor will be able to suggest you which 3, 4 APs you should consider. And then you have organizations like Guide AI, which will prepare you online with your AP prep.
Hmm. So tell me, Abhishek, now if there is a student who's already taken, the class 12th examination, is perhaps now getting into some universities in India or waiting to get into universities in India, but maybe after listening to your session today, they still want to dream about, studying in these universities. What would you suggest? Is a gap year okay for them to prepare, or no?
I'll tell you honestly, just yesterday I suggested somebody to take a gap year, and the reason was very different, Dr. Bhavna. The girl scored about 95% in her grade 12, but she
Okay.
really wanted to learn acting for 1 year.
Okay.
She really wanted, and she's sitting on a pretty reputed offer letter out of one of the UK universities. But when she came to me, her father was also supportive. Her father said, "I really want my daughter to live that 1 year
Hmm.
because this time won't come, and she wants to learn acting. So why not it?" And I
Hmm.
said, yeah, I mean, definitely you should give her an option. Now, to the answer, whether should you take a gap year or not take a gap year is very personal. Are your parents supportive of taking that gap year? But I'll say a gap year is okay. Universities do not take it in the bad manner as long as you know what you're doing in that gap year and you have a plan. You can't sit at home and sleep throughout the day and binge watch Netflix and just scroll, timelessly on your Instagram and say
Hmm.
that, hey, I took a gap year. As long as
Hmm.
you're able to build your profile, you're able to add value. It could be you learned
Hmm.
cooking, it could be you
Hmm.
learned baking, it could be anything. As long as you're able to tell the university why you took gap year and it was only to explore yourself, go ahead and take it. For those students who have either not got admission into a great university in India or who have got admission but are considering to apply abroad, you do have certain universities which can make you apply, which can give you admission in the winter intake or what we call as a spring intake next year, which
Okay.
means you can join the college in January.
Hmm.
You can consider that, or you can apply for fall intake next year.
Next year. Okay. Okay. Fine. So you were mentioning about the student profiles and the essays. So what are there's essays are supposed to be the heart of applications, international applications. Can you tell us what makes an essay truly powerful?
Yeah, I mean, I so wish any counselor is able to answer this question. Uh, it's a very difficult question, but I'll still try and answer because some of the terminologies that I'm gonna use, it's important for parents and students to understand the depth of that terminology. For example, a great essay is one which has your authentic voice. Now, you would say, what do you mean by authentic voice? By authentic voice, I mean is they don't want to hear larger than life stories. They want to hear you. Okay. As long as you can talk about yourself in the simplest of the language, you do not need to write essay where somebody needs to open an Oxford dictionary to find a meaning of the word. No, it's not a literary competition. It is not
Hmm.
a competition of your writing skills. It is about you telling the university that you are more than just marks. Okay. So you need to be true to yourself. Second thing, that an essay, because essays are also varied kinds. There is a personal essay, there is an essay about your vision, strengths, there is an essay about your passion, which is called a passion project essay. There can be multiple kinds of essay. There are certain essays which I'll give you an essay topic, which is there in Common App this year. Tell us something that makes you lose sense of time. That's
Okay.
an essay topic,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
650 words. It's
Hmm.
nothing but about your passion. What is that
Passion.
one passion of yours, right, which makes you lose sense of time? So essays can only be written after deep self-reflection, I must say.
Hmm.
You really need to know yourself to be able to pour it out on the paper,
Hmm.
right? Um, Showcase your growth in your essay, showcase the curiosity, showcase your grit. It's okay to say, I participated in 5 debate competitions and I failed. Believe me, that essay will win hands down as long as you're able to showcase every time you failed, what did you learn new?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Showcase your purpose. And then in specific cases, use anecdotes here and there, easy to understand, bring your culture forward, talk a little bit about your family, talk a little bit about yourself. I think that's what makes a powerful essay.
Okay, fine. So I'm sure there are agencies that, and when I say agencies, I mean counselors who can help students understand, how to actually do this essay writing, because I feel that we have a very narrow vision when we look at essays here in India, and what the expectation is from these universities is entirely different, and we
So
need to, yeah.
completely agree, Dr. Bhavna. I'll tell you what. Uh, Please understand, if there is a counselor who comes and says, I'll ghostwrite for you, say no to that counselor. Because essays are about authenticity,
Yes,
and there's a difference in the way a teenager writes and a professional would write.
yes, true.
So, and universities will get to know it just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do not use ChatGPT to write your essays. Okay. You will be caught just like that. But there are good counselors, and I would consider I am an ethical counselor, and my team is one. We actually do a lot of brainstorming sessions, right? We ask the right questions, we wait for the responses, but we will never ghost write. We will ask the kid to write, the student to write. We will only iterate, reiterate, because when students start writing, they'll write 1200 words. The problem is not 1200 words. Problem is communicating the same thing in 650,
Yes, yes.
right? Without losing the assets.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
that's what good counseling companies or teams would do.
All right, all right. At the CISC for our English papers, now we've introduced the personal essays also. So we are trying, our level best to groom our students towards that.
That's amazing.
Another very, very strong, document, which is the letter of recommendation that is required. So, first of all, how many letters of recommendations? And then students should approach whom for these letters of recommendation? Should it be the designation or should it be the work of the person in that particular field for which they are applying in?
So first and foremost, we in India feel that letter of recommendation means the designation is very important, which is far from truth. I believe me, I've seen some very educated families coming to me and telling me, "Can I bring one LOR from the chief minister of the state?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Uh,
Hmm.
that'll be the first LOR which will be thrown into the dustbin.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Um, what matters is the depth of the relationship with the person who is giving you an LOR. So I would say an LOR from your subject teacher is 10 times more valuable than from your principal. Until unless your principal is also a subject teacher,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? If you
Yeah.
have a direct working relationship with the principal, she's coming into your class, she's teaching psychology or whatever subject, and you have been her student,
Hmm.
then it's a different thing. Otherwise, imagine what are the chances or odds that your principal will know you personally deep down? There are 3,000 students. Your teacher would know you far better than the principal
Yes.
because teacher is engaging every day. So
Hmm.
the depth of the relationship really, really matters. And my request, if any CISE teachers are also listening to this, while I know CISC does a phenomenal work in teacher training, but as a counselor, you want to give some suggestion to everybody. And my suggestion would be, whenever you are writing a letter of recommendation, please keep one thought in mind. If I change the name Abhishek to Shivansh, will the letter of recommendation remain the same or not? If the answer is it will remain the same, then it's a bad letter of recommendation that you're giving to a student. Because letter of recommendation has to be deeply personal. You need
Hmm.
to talk about in what capacity do you know the student? You
Hmm.
need to talk about how the student has been behaving in the class, Has the child been active performer? Have the child participated actively? Does the child ask relevant questions? Sometimes even writing like, oh my God, he's one of those students who asks that one amazing question which becomes the precursor for my next chapter,
Yeah. Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Those kind of things are supposed to be kept in mind. So no seniority does not matter. Direct relationship matters. And usually I would say take a letter of recommendation from a subject teacher in which you are doing your major or subject which is related to your major. So for example,
Hmm.
if you're going for engineering, take either from mathematics or physics. But if you're going for economics, take from economics teacher, right?
Okay. Hmm.
The second one, take it from the school counselor. And I'm sure CISC, majority of the schools have school counselors. So
Yes.
one should
Yes.
come from school counselors.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. I'm really glad you spoke to the teachers about this, because this again is something, that is not the regular, it's not part of the regular training, how to write the LORs. But I think, after today's session, CISC will also think about hosting certain training for
I
the
do that
teachers.
for a lot of schools. If you want me to do it, if you think I'm worthy enough, I'm happy to
Hmm.
come and do it.
Yes, I think that students will really benefit from that. And now coming to scholarships. What, first of all, what are the kinds of scholarships that students can expect to get?
Okay.
And what are the mistakes that sometimes people make that they are not able to get the scholarships?
The first mistake that everybody does is, I think, timing. That's the biggest mistake that I'm trying to look at something which will actually prove to everybody out there that scholarships are actually for real. Before I come to that, let me answer your question. So the biggest mistake that we do as students is we do not value the timelines. Please understand, majority of the scholarships are available either in the early rounds or round one. And once the scholarship fund or the scholarship budget of that university will get over, subsequent rounds, you will have a lot of difficulty in claiming scholarships. Number
Mhm.
two, scholarships are for real, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, uncles and aunts, chachus and chachis, dadus and dadis, whoever is watching this video. Please appreciate that scholarships are for real and they are available, including best of the Ivy Leagues end up giving something called financial aid, which is, I will not say a scholarship, but they are need blind. And if they like you, they will honor you. I'll show you certain examples here. This is a student of mine,
Hmm.
Parsons, $100,000, Pratt, $100,000. Look at scholarships from international universities to Indian universities like Flame. Everybody gives scholarships. But the important part here is, what do you need? What do you need essentially to get a scholarship? Please understand, you need to be academically bright. Scholarship है, pardon my language, हलवा नहीं है जो किसी को भी दे दिया जाएगा.
Hmm.
आपको deserving होना पड़ेगा. And the first deserving criteria is, are you academically intelligent enough to showcase to the university? So thumb rule should be, if you are scoring 85% and above, you are eligible to apply for scholarships.
Okay.
Okay. Number two, please, for heaven's sake, give your SATs and try and get a good score, a 1400 plus score. It will significantly boost your scholarship chances. And number three, scholarships are not just given to the toppers of the class, scholarships are given to people who are able to showcase to the university that the money invested in you will be multiplied 100 times and be given back to the society,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So if you are able to prove
Yes.
that your heart beats for the society, you have that community angle, and that does not mean going for the heck of admissions, doing an NGO for 3 weeks and getting a certificate for 10 weeks. Please trust me, that NGO certificate has no value. It will come out that you haven't done it. So do not buy fake certificates at all. Legit do it. Showcase your intent, showcase your passion towards community,
Hmm.
score academically high, take your SATs, focus on your profile. It's a whole rounded thing, which is a scholarship worthy candidate. Real chances for international students, yes. There are universities which are need blind and give you full aid. For example, Harvard will give you. MIT will give you, Yale will give you, many, actually, I'll say almost 100% of American universities give merit-based scholarships.
Okay,
Almost
wonderful.
100%,
Hmm.
right? And most of them will give you even along with the offer letter, which means when you're getting the offer, your scholarship is printed on the offer letter.
Okay.
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 A
Hmm.
lot of Canadian universities give scholarships. And best part is, even if they say, let's say $25,000 a year scholarship, they will write in bracket renewable, which means it will get renewed year on year as long as you maintain your GPA as well.
Yes.
Okay. There are a
Yes.
lot of government and non-government scholarships also available. There are private organizations which give.
Hmm.
So there are amazing ways of getting scholarships, and yes, they are for real. But I would say US gives far more
Hmm.
than UK
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
any other country put together.
Okay, fine, fine. So I think yes, what you are saying, it resonates with me that they are for real, and they are, it's not that they are out of reach. You need to plan, strategize in a certain manner, and be on time for the first round, as you said, for the first and the second round of admissions. Otherwise, they will, all will be consumed. Any other aspect that you would like to highlight that while filling the applications they should keep in mind so that these scholarships, they are able to achieve the scholarships?
Understand that scholarships are of varied kinds. There's something called an automatic merit scholarship, which means you're not doing anything extra. You're just applying and filling the normal common app, applying to the university. And on the basis of your application, you're getting that automatic merit scholarship, which is predominantly dependent upon your academics and your SATs. But then there are some prestigious, what we call as named scholarships, Chancellor Awards, Presidential Scholarships, Fulbright Awards. For example, there is an award by University of Toronto, which is called Lester B. Pearson Scholarship. It not just gives you full 4 year tuition, it gives you lodging, boarding, accommodation, insurance, books, material, supplies, everything.
You really need to be very good for that.
Right? And people get it. Indians get it. I have a student who got it. Then there is another one called Karen McKillen Scholarship by University of British Columbia. There are Chancellor Awards by variety of universities. So what happens is automatic scholarship के लिए कुछ नहीं करना है, आपके मेरिट पे आपको मिल जाएगा, SAT and academics. But presidential and the true high value scholarships, $100,000, $200,000, उन सब के लिए प्रोफाइल बहुत क्रिटिकल है. And that's why I say, to build a scholarship worthy profile, 3 years, 9th, 10th, 11th, because 12th में time नहीं मिलता है.
Okay, fine. So, talking about this, we have a question coming in. They're asking that with the current political scenario and policy discourses in the USA regarding immigration, should we strongly reconsider options in the US?
Again, personal choice. I'll tell you honestly, and I'm going to give you a disclaimer. Ladies and gentlemen, my son is going to be applying to university. As we speak, he's writing his college essays. He's going to be applying to universities this year. His first choice remains Ivy Leagues in US. And let me assure you that if he gets through, irrespective what is the political narrative, my son is going. Please have enough faith on the legacy of these institutions. Please have enough faith on the democratic nature of these countries, whether it is US or India. We are stable democracies. Sometimes we, as you know, we need to understand that politicians end up making some remarks only to please their vote bank. That does not mean that the policies of the country are changing.
Hmm.
Even today, what you hear in the news, majority of the decisions taken by so-called political leadership against the educational institutions in various countries, they have been upheld. I mean, they have been stopped by the courts, and universities have not agreed. So I don't think 1 or 2 or 3 years of political discourse and some random statements here and there should change the overall trajectory of your child. Having said that, if you are concerned and if you really think that you'll not be able to sleep properly in the night because you are perturbed by these statements, मुझे इतना पता है कि एज अ पेरेंट रात की नींद आपको आना बहुत जरूरी है, शांति से सोना बहुत जरूरी है. जब आपका बच्चा वहां पढ़ रहा हो तो वहां भेजें जहां आप चैन से सो पाए.
Hmm.
And there are enough and many universities around the world, not just in US.
Hmm. Acha, Abhishek, I want to ask you this one question, that has been, popping in my mind. When we were students, when we just out of school and in college, we had our peers who moved to these countries to study because they had relatives there. So there was this conception, and that you need to have some kind of sponsorship, or you need to have relatives in those places, to be able to go and study there. Please just demystify this as well.
No, you don't. You don't
Okay.
need to have anybody. You
Hmm.
don't need a sponsor from there. Yes, you
Hmm.
need to have enough funds so
Hmm.
that you are able to survive there. Please understand, while scholarships are there, but if you do not have a full ride, and full ride is difficult to get, I'm going to be very responsible in saying this. You
Hmm.
can't expect by not building profile, you'll get a full ride. You can't expect by not being bright in terms of academics, you'll get a full ride. Please don't have wrong expectations. If you were a university, will you give scholarship just like that to anybody? No, right? You will see the merit of the case and give.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
no, you do not need family. You do not
Hmm.
need cousins. You do not need sponsorship letters from there until and unless you do not have enough funds and somebody is actually there to support you. That's a different thing. But
Hmm.
in totality, you do not need these things. I don't have relatives outside India, and I always tell my son, this is a great opportunity for you to go and make relatives out there. So go and find friends who become your partners for life, and they become your relatives. और कोई
Absolutely.
relative काम नहीं आता है, Dr. Bhavna, I'll tell you honestly.
Yes, thanks. Now tell us, that the whole conversations they are around the UG studies. Now, some people are asking in the chat, what would you suggest? This is a tricky one, I know, but how would you advise students regarding which level they should try for? Is it okay that they do the UG here in India and then go for their post graduations and PhDs abroad? And yeah, so and what is the transition? Is there a bridge between the UG course here in India by universities and then the PG there?
Okay. First and foremost, let me tell everybody I love my country. And that's why I'm here, working here. My answer has nothing to do with my love for the country. If you are wanting to take education, India has some phenomenal universities, and you can consider them. There are some great names that we also have in our country.
Hmm.
However, for somebody like me, I would want not just education. I just don't want the degree for my son. What I want is exposure, experience, and a global network. There is a difference between, do I want my son to be successful, or do I want my son to be globally successful? I choose the second one. And
Okay.
that's why for me, it is critically important that I send my child when the head start is early, when he gets a better outlook and a better understanding of the culture and global exposure. And that's why I am choosing to send my son after grade 12. But that may or may not be your decision as an audience. Having said that, please understand, according to me as a counselor, the amount of scholarships available in undergrad are higher than postgrad. And
Okay.
please understand that undergrad is, if you are thinking of sending your child for global exposure, then I think undergrad is the right time and better than postgrad. That's number one. Number two, in 95% of the cases, Dr. Bhavna, the way careers are changing and the job landscape is changing,
Hmm.
until unless a student is going for a super research oriented field or a super specialty field, I
Hmm.
don't think 95% of students would ever require to even do their masters in today's time. MBAs are
Okay.
not getting jobs
Hmm.
even from the Ivy Leagues now.
Hmm.
It's more about super specialty at bachelor's level. Um, so these are two important. However, if you have already decided of studying in India and you are going to look at postgrad, again, I would say start early. Instead of waiting for your undergrad to get over and then preparing for postgrad, start in the year two of undergrad itself. Give yourself 2 years because you again have to build your profile. The exams that you require to write for postgrad are very different than undergrad. In postgrad, we'll talk about GMATs and the GREs of the world. and a postgrad profile will look very, very different. But my sense is, because internationally they are very deeply rooted in research, there is no program which does not have research. And unfortunately, in India, we haven't focused that well on research at the higher ed level.
Hmm.
Uh, so students who do their bachelor's here, they will take a semester or two to adjust in the postgrad there, which is okay, which is fair, but they'll find their way out.
Okay, fine. And what is this about that the national curriculums uh, versus the international curriculum? So, do you think the students studying under the national curriculum like CISC, do they stand an equal chance of admissions abroad?
2000%. I think every curriculum has its own merit. However, I definitely believe that there's some strength of our national curriculum to prepare kids academically well, right? And it comes to use. What I think is that in terms of if the question is admissions,
Hmm.
definitely please appreciate whether you are a CISC student or a CBSE or an IB or an IGCSE or an AS or A levels, you stand an equal chance to apply to the top tier universities. There is only one university or two which would say a national curriculum student might require mandatorily 4 or 5 APs, and these are just two names, Oxford and Cambridge. Other than that, every university equally treats a CISC kid as an IB kid or another curriculum kid. Absolutely nothing to worry. In
Hmm.
any curriculum, you will still need to build your profile, you will still need to write your essays, and you will still need LORs. Rather, after doing these 4 sessions, Dr. Bhavna, I'll tell you, I was, pardon my ignorance, I knew majority of the subject that CISC offers, but I did not know how futuristic you guys are in terms of
Hmm.
adding AI and data science and media and communication kind of subjects. I would say if you are a CISC kid, ladies and gentlemen, you are at the right place. Focus on things other than the curriculum which matters, and stay in the right curriculum. Your child is sorted and they have the equal chance of applying to the best of the universities.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, thanks. So if there was one piece of advice to students or parents who are planning international admissions, what would it be?
अ, मैंने एक कविता लिखी थी, उसकी 2 पंक्तियां सुना देता हूँ।
Sumit.
थोड़ा टाइम हुआ उस कविता को लिखे।
Hmm.
सपनों का कोई दोष नहीं है, सपनों को बुलंद तू कर। सपनों
Hmm.
का कोई दोष नहीं है, सपनों को बुलंद तू कर। चिंता मत कर, चिंतन कर तू, कल को अपने वश में कर। सो ड्रीम्स डू नॉट हैव अ प्रॉब्लम, थिंक बियॉन्ड, थिंक बिग, but stop worrying and start planning. That's the essence. My only suggestion to parents and students who are dreaming of top tier universities, Ivy Leagues, LSC, Oxford, Cambridge, NUS, NTU. I'll also take one name that you guys can consider if you're applying for engineering. It's called Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in South Korea. KAIST. It's these kind of institutions. Start early. University admissions are not about just marks. They do not look at how great a student you are. They're also looking at what kind of personality you have, your leadership skills, your communication skills, your ability to multitask, your ability to have a community angle, community orientation. It's about your story. International universities are able to give admission and scholarships to somebody who has 2% less marks but has a better profile. So focus on the holistic development. Start early, for heaven's sake. You think ninth is too early and you think 11th is too late, then what is the solution? Start early, break it up, don't pressurize your child. वो भी इंसान है। आप सोचते हैं कि 11वीं में आकर के पढ़ाई भी कर लेगा, एंट्रेंस की तैयारी भी कर लेगा और प्रोफाइल भी बना लेगा, ऐसा नहीं होता है। थोड़ा थोड़ा करके ब्रेक करिए and make use of journey from grade 9 onwards and you will be sorted.
Okay, thank you so much, Abhishek. Thank you once again for being here, for sharing your expertise, your time with us. And on behalf of everyone here at CISC, the schools, the teachers, the students, we thank you for these wonderful, wonderful 4 sessions. They have really been enlightening for us. And the kind of response we have received from all stakeholders is amazing. And we wish you all success and we hope to work with you again in the future.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
Doctor.
much
Thank you so
on
much,
behalf
Dr.
of Dr. Joseph Emmanuel as well. Thank you for the session.
Thank you. I'm gonna miss doing this session next Friday. So you've become a part of my calendar every Friday. But thank you so much for having me for last 4 weeks, Dr. Bhavna. You were a wonderful host. I felt so comfortable and at ease. And thank you to everybody at CISC and Dr. Emmanuel for having me here. Thank you.